But before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that we're here in Sydney on the unceded lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and to pay my respects to elders past and present as the original custodians of the lands in which we live and work. And I'd particularly like to extend my respect to any Indigenous identifying people here with us. I also want to acknowledge that I live and work on the ancestral lands of the Bidjigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of the land on which I live, near Gulayari. So this is a picture of Gulayari, also known as Cook's River. So it's been recently returned to its original name. And the reason I sort of return to this is because it is a place of kulth in my world. And part of that kulth is this beautiful sound of the casuarinas as you walk along the river. So that's my acknowledgement. So this workshop that we're going to do today comes out of a collaboration between Alison, Catherine and me, reflecting our shared interests in dynamic climates of bodies and environments, which are often left out of conversations about climate adaptation. And as we know, adaptation is very much front and centre at the moment. But what the hell does that mean and what does it look like is something we feel we can contribute to. So we're exploring the intersections between our different research projects that aim to expand social imaginaries of dynamic climates inside and out, or as Kat likes to call it, expanding experimental aesthetics in the social imaginary, or EASY. A phrase we agree captures our intention to explore both the hormonal environments of the body that affect people in very different ways through their life course, including perimenopause and menopause, and the experience as well of weathering climate change that is also affecting people in very different ways. Particularly our focus is during Sydney's increasingly long and humid summers. So as I said, we've run this workshop. I mean, these quotes I haven't really referred to, but I often use this quote from J.K. Gibson Graham, a feminist economic geographer, a singular she, composed of two authors. I don't need to rehearse all of that with this audience, but I just love this quote because it gives credence to our bodily sensations and experiences as part of a kind of politics. And then this Rancière quote that Kat often uses, that draws attention to the importance of play and free play as a mode of collective action that we can retrospectively reflect upon and derive different meanings from. So I just thought I'd talk about those two briefly. So as I've said, we have run this workshop before, and this is an image of a workshop that we ran earlier on in the year at Marrickville. It's a collage of images from that, which gathered stories about various objects. So much like we've tasked you with, we asked the participants at that workshop similarly, and we gathered quite incredible stories about a shirt with clipped wings, a lacy canopy touched by fire, river mint, hot springs, hair hydrology, and a memory of the smell of summer, and an outdoor office by an ocean pool. So experiences, both visible, like an object to hand, and invisible, intangible experiences of the feeling of ventilation and hydration, for example. The second activity at Front Yard event repurposed secondhand garments to convey and materially visualise a story related to dynamic hormones. The central figure is a woman named Heather. So in Heather's case, this was converting a pair of disco pants into a fringed hat. And then there was a sequined dress that was transformed into a story pocket, and a T-shirt graffitied with the text, "Nothing to see here," which you can see underway in that image, was in reference to the participant's mother warning her that aging was first visible at the neck, a warning that she refused by embellishing the neckline with pink feathers, thus drawing attention to her aging neck. So anyway, this level of diversity was a very exciting part of that workshop and the storytelling that came out of it. So today's a little bit of an experiment of how we might do something like that online but I'm sure with this wonderful group, we are going to get some interesting surprises. So we're going to start by setting the scene with a little bit of an introduction to our unique strands of work that are coming together in our collaboration, and introduce to you the objects that we've brought to the discussion. But before we do that, we're just going to have a look. Now, this agenda, because we've got so few people, we might end a bit early, we might mix it up a little bit. Essentially, after our little presentation, we'll get into that first activity where we asked you to bring an object or a story or a performance or a memory to share. And then we will have a second activity, which Kat will introduce, on dynamic hormones. We'll do a bit of a treasure hunt and image making exercise, and then we will collaboratively use the whiteboard, hopefully, to build a collage around that second activity. I think that's kind of the shape of it, and a wrapping up discussion. So I am going to begin with just a very short introduction to a concept of coolth. Bhavya, of course, does not need this introduction, but so as the climate warms, cooling is a primal need. However, the number one response to warming or warming climate is air conditioning. The systems and infrastructures producing air conditioning are also, however, contributing to more heating at local and global scales. In our research program, Cooling the Commons, and we work with a host of other researchers there, including Stephen Healy, Catherine Gibson, Louise Crabtree-Hayes, Emma Power, Sebastian Fausch, Bhavya, obviously, Chikranchi. Who have I missed out? Helen Armstrong. Have I missed anyone? Don't think so.
Cameron. Cameron Tonkin-Wise from you.
Oh, Cameron Tonkin-Wise. Yeah, thanks, Bhavya. This is being recorded, so I have to do the right thing. So we use a workshop-based methodology to explore collective, cross-cultural and community-led approaches to cooling that do not rely on air conditioning in enclosed spaces. We've amassed a living archive, what we call a pattern deck of cool commons, the places, practices, knowledges, and processes shared by communities in different locations around the world. And we use the term coolth, thinking the opposite of warmth, which was used, quite frequently used, or when you look up etymologies, it was much more in use in the late 19th century, but has now fallen out of common usage. And we use it to refer to the experience of being cool and feeling cool, linking mind, body, practice, and environment. So think about the feeling of throwing open a window to catch a southerly buster, or the relief of moving under a shade canopy, a shady tree canopy on a hot day. So our sense of coolth carries pleasure and sociality, but that's really discipline. I mean, the meaning of the term coolth now means a machine producing a commodity, and we're trying to reclaim something else from it. So what's interesting is that coolth is not a steady state. It doesn't do away with heat or hide it while adding to it like air conditioning does. Coolth resides in the actions that make a change in a heated atmosphere. The creation of coolth helps us to live with a changing climate. So my object is a bit of a memory. And this comes from Participatory Design Conference at the end of 2014, where I was in Sarawak in Malaysia at a night market. And this is an expression of coolth in that it allows people to eat collectively outside of kitchens, so that there's not building heat in kitchens, but also the types of food that people are eating. So at this market, I was with a friend. I hope I can refer to her as a friend. I really like her. It's Joyce Yee, who is an academic now in Britain, and she is a durian connoisseur. And so she said to me, she went on a bit of a mission with me, and she said, okay, Abby, we're going out and we're going to find you some beginner's durian. So you haven't had durian before. You've heard all the stories. So you have an imaginary of durian, but we're going to go and find some. So she found some beginner's durian, and that's pictured on the screen. And then we went and sat under this sort of rotunda surrounded by grass, took our shoes off, put our feet in the grass, and then we sort of ate this durian, and which had a weirdly warming. I don't know if anyone knows durian, but I think it's on the ginger warming side of things, Bivy. I don't know if you know, but certainly it had a warmth. But what was really interesting was that it helped me to lean into the very soupy, humid atmosphere that I was in. So rather than going, oh, I feel so wet and sticky, I was like, really just helped me to enter into that experience. So that's my little story. So now I am going to pass on to Ali for her story.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to say just a little bit more as a way of introduction to the two concepts that are really central to our project together and what we've kind of discovered in common by getting the band back together, as Catherine just said before, and that is wearing and weathering. And wearing as a concept speaks doubly to the social practices of wearing designs like clothing and to the activation and transformation of materials during those practices of wearing, like the relenting footbed of a Birkenstock as it moulds to the pressing footprint and the eroding rug on stairs that we walk on over time, and the accumulation of sweat on a shirt collar. Looks pretty grubby, doesn't it? So we wrap and nest with things like clothing as social actors, relationally making ourselves for occasions and roles. And also we have the material traces of human and non-human actors rubbing against each other in telling ways, creating these indices of use, cultural wisdoms and worlds, both present and otherwise. And weathering, is there another line there under, Abby? No, it's all right. We don't have animations on the slide. Sorry, weathering, it is just the word weathering for us to ponder. Weathering provocatively puts on the table for our workshop today this notion of weather as a volatile actor with its own animate and animating force and agency in our interactions through social practices like wearing with things. And we can think of the body's hormonal fluctuations as like its own weather from childhood to end of life, influencing feeling and experience. On the next slide, we just see a range of these indices of wear that we see on objects as experiential traces of weather from in the interior sweats that our body brings to the surface, and our body's experiencing weathering forces from the externally felt impacts of intense humidity and the need to find shelter from a beating sun and wrap our faces and heads in protection. We seek out cooling watermelon or durian. These experiences can speak to ideas, associations, memories, and fears and fantasies of hormonal fluctuation and living with dynamic climates. And that's what we want to tease out today in our workshop with you, to find other examples of associations, ideas, fantasies, and fears attached to the objects that we interact with. Now, my story on the next slide is about an object that assists me to tell a fantasy of ventilation at work and maybe of flight from work. That might be the best way of putting it. A white shirt that I chose because I thought it looked kind of worky, and I thought it had ventilating openings that might be flexible opening seams to get me through the workday in changing conditions. I call this experience with a white shirt learning to dream, to catch the breeze and soar, because I discovered that the inside arm seam of the shirt, which I'm wearing now, doesn't actually open quite as far as I wanted it to. It only goes to the elbow, and I wanted it to go right up to the armpit. So my wings kind of are clipped, yet my imagination soars on that cooling breeze to consider, what if the ventilation could reach the underarms, even while I look suitably fresh in a white shirt at work? And you can see it has this wonderful, seam at the back that allows the breeze to go right up to between my shoulder blades. So yeah, that's my story. And over to you, Kat, to introduce us to some dynamic hormones.
Thanks, Ali. So I have a lot of words on my slide script because I'm just finishing a book at the moment and I cannot stop using words. So I'll try and do it quite fast. So what you're looking at on the screen are 3 experiments that I've been running since I started looking at dynamic hormones. And just to connect to what Ali was speaking about with the airy shirt, the first set of images that you're looking at are from a project called Expanding Experimental Aesthetics in the Social Imaginary Easy, a toolkit for co-designing narratives with big data, which was largely about climate change data that was being ignored by the government, but I'll stick to my script. That was back in 2018. And was the first time it was that heat wave that I had my 2 only hot flushes, which were part of my perimenopause adventure. Because they're closely related. People have hot flushes apparently at perimenopause during heat waves. So we can expect a lot more hot flushes in the future. So exploring the social and radical imaginaries of the cultural framing of perimenopause started with a workshop, as I said, in 2018. This workshop invited participants to explore uncertainty about government inaction concerning climate change data. The workshop series Easy, The Change at Work, between 2020 and 2024, focused on how gendered health and perimenopause are shaped by their context. The title of the workshops, The Change at Work, drew on Simone de Beauvoir's insights about the performativity of gender as summarised in all of her widely quoted observation, because it's got 2 parts. One is not born but rather becomes a woman, and this is the second part. No biological, psychological, economic fact determines that the figure that the human female presents in society. It is civilization as a whole that determines this creature, the second part of that quote is the real nail for me, the pin that I pivot around, I think. So my focus on the social construction of gendered identities in health sought to initiate collaborative indisciplinary experiments, and that's another Rancière term, that could de-silo knowledge and shift collaborative practice from critical arts aim to increase subjugated people's awareness of their oppression and instead do something about it. So in the workshop activity, which you can see in the second bunch of colours, which is called What Colour is Menopause, the colours mixed and named by participants in several workshops I ran in 2020 and 2021 during the lockdowns were named by participants, and they go some way to show the diversity of experiences of dynamic hormones. So workshop participants identified as cis, non-binary or queer, who worked in the arts, technology, food, manufacturing and health sectors, each mixed colours and named them according to their associations with that colour and their experience of hormones jumping around. The activity was structured to support collaborative evaluations of the social norm of silence about menopause in the workplace. So the 140 colours created by participants during that time and the titles they gave them, such as incandescent and wisely irrational, presented a rainbow of mixed feelings which reflected the social construction of gender and Rancière's observation of free play as a mode of collective action. So on the next slide, on the last image, just before we jump off, is a symposium that I ran last year with my colleagues over in sociology that was looking at menopause through cultural, creative and medical domains, and we recorded all of that, which is now, I think parts of it, excerpts are on the Sociology and Health website at UNSW if you're interested. And a whole lot of people saying very interesting things about dynamic hormones. So these screen images are from another activity called Performing Hormones, which show participants in diverse locations. I've run the workshops that range from the Blue Mountains Cultural Centre up in Katoomba, which you will know, Manu, in 2020, to the National Facility for Human Robot Interaction in inner city Sydney. It's on our Paddington campus at UNSW. To a rural food manufacturer, Nestle, in fact, in rural Victoria in 2021, to a faculty festival for the arts in health 2023, to a one-day workshop on menopause and several in a hospital, Chris O'Brien Lifehouse Hospital in Camperdown, also in 2024. So each time participants selected from activities such as what colour is menopause, costumes for performing hormones, creating data clouds, which we do in the National Facility, and making collage. And they're all about, the collages are trying to come up with some new I don't know, colloquial sayings beyond hot flush or brain fog. Like there's a whole lot of stuff that's really positive that I have, heard many stories about in the workshops that happened when your hormones go dynamic, sort of, between 40 and 55 usually. So the invisible threshold, which you can see down in the bottom corner and in my background because I can't get rid of it, is a robot that I use as a screen for projecting stuff that's made in the workshops. So my motivation for creating workshops that sought more nuanced understandings of perimenopause and menopause in Australian workplaces came from what I saw as a need for intergenerational activations to destigmatise dynamic hormones. And this comes to light particularly in the hospital, which I'm extending in another series of work next year, working with healthcare providers, nurses, because they really understand the idea of dynamic hormones as something that their peer group is involved in because of the opportunities being made available now with gender affirmation therapy. And so if I use language like dynamic hormones, their eyes don't go blank. But if I use words like menopause, because many people in the hospital are triggered into menopause when they have cancer treatment, I think it still has such social stigma, even for nurses. It's an unconscious bias we all carry around menopause. We all go into internal denial every time I did, many others I know did, when it starts. So dynamic hormones is a kind of language shift to get people to think about, well, this is something that we jump around with hormonally all our lives, so we don't need to attach a particular stigma to what happens when you hit 40 and things start moving again. That's the easiest way I can say it today. So to communicate the experiences of the EASY workshop participants to a wider audience, I developed this soft silk robot, the invisible threshold, in 24. So I developed it with an engineer, and the robot responds to inputs from 3 sensors. So the National Facility is a sensored room, which means that it picks up movement, it picks up sound, and records everything that's happening, all embedded in the walls, and symbolizes, as Ali actually said when she first saw it in flight, the shift from inertia to movement, which was a really lovely sort of summary of exactly what I was trying to do. Thanks, Ali. So the silk can move towards the person with a synchronized soundtrack of birds singing at dawn, slide away.
I think that might have actually been Abby. Sorry, but yeah, that's okay.
Hey, that's Kathleen. Sorry, it was Abby. You're right. The silk can move towards the person with a synchronized soundtrack of birds, slide away in the opposite direction, and it can move at different speeds. So if it's moving away from you, it moves really fast. If it moves towards you, it moves quite slowly and sleekily. And it can also, and it runs to the soundtrack of thunderstorm. And when it's shimmying, which is the small movements left and right, it's the soundtrack of a crackling heat in a summer day in Sydney. So it operates like a dynamic mobile projection screen for the colours, collages, costumes, and excerpts from the transcripts of the EASY workshops audio recordings. And on my next slide, you can see this weirdly gendered object, which is a sewing box that I salvaged from my grandmother-in-law's trailer park home up on the Central Coast during the pandemic when she needed to be moved into supported living. She was at this point 102. And the box is a trove of a whole lifetime of someone who could really sew. I am not someone who can sew. So for me, I salvaged it from going to the skip because everyone's saying it's a dirty old box. And I'm like, no, this is like a wonderland in here. What are these obscure needles, threads, everything in there was completely foreign to me. So she collected this over her lifetime. They're very mysterious as equipment for me, but I'm very interested in misusing, poetic misuse of technology, which some of you have been in workshops where I've tried to misuse technology in groups. That's you, Melissa. And this is like misusing the sewing kit. As I try and learn how to sew, but I kind of like keeping it a mystery and not learning how to sew. But her sewing box, she's since died, speaks of a whole lifetime of being a very gendered person in a very different time and world. So the conversations today will inform how we might develop these workshops to generate an alternative civic conversation about climate adaptation and hormonal adaptation that is socially engaged and responsive. So we want to thank you for your generosity in coming today, and you're all experts, and all of you are researchers in adapting to the everyday fluctuations of weather. And we want to think about how bodies are in dynamic climates with climate change. And we want to hear how you do it, because obviously you're all really invested in this idea. So I think it's over to you.
Over to me. Yeah, over to me. So the
Thank you.
next slide. Yeah. So like Kat said, you're all experts in, your experiences with using, objects and things around you to adapt to dynamic hormones. I really like that, the way Kat said, hormones jumping around through our lives at different periods, and also, external weather, internal weather of our bodies. So have you had a chance to think about an object or image or performance that you'd like to use to tell a story about your own experiences of weathering dynamic climates inside and out, and share it with us now? Maybe hopefully you saw our invitation to think about this in advance if you need time. Maybe to think about how this connects you to a place where you are, and even thinking about your effective atmosphere now, and whether that object is part of your current place. Yeah, whether it's related to a sense of emotion and embodied existence, or a certain practice. It might be your farming practice that you do daily, Manu or Bavia, or living with climate fluctuations. It might be heat, humidity, sweat, chill, wind, dry, wet, and navigating any of those, atmospheres and feelings. So we might go around from one. Would you like a bit of time to think about this, or could we just go immediately into this exercise and take turns? You've heard about our 3 objects that that we've shared with you. Manu, I see you taking your mic off.
Yeah, I'm ready already, but I'm happy to
great.
also wait for others.
Get going, Manu.
Go
I'm a
for
bit
it.
of an eager beaver, aren't I? Anyway, okay, so what I decided to bring to today's session is my plant. It's just up here, if you can see it. So it's a pot plant. So I'm just gonna tell the story of why I brought this here. When Farm It Forward first was put together by a group of us, 5 of us, we started to grow vegetables in market gardens on people's unused land, and it was in 2019. So if you remember 2019, our first growing season was during the Black Summer bushfires. There was this interesting thing where there were lots of road closures. The bushfires were roaring down in the Gros Valley. We could see them from where we were farming. And we opened our farming to the community. We said, look, every day we will be here weeding or doing whatever we need to do in the market gardens, and everybody is welcome to come along. What we found was that RFS, members of the RFS and also fire and rescue would come along to our volunteer sessions, and I was quite taken by this and what was happening. So I asked a friend of mine who is a fiery Brett, why he thought this was, what made him come to our sessions. And he said the intense heat in fighting fires, there was very, very few things were able to mitigate that intense whole body feeling of despair and heat that they were feeling while they were fighting fires. And one of the things that worked instantly was seeing expanses of green. So our vegetables growing, they didn't see much green, fighting the fires in the bush. The bush was very dry. You remember we were coming out of a 10-year drought. Everything was brown and gray. And seeing green somehow, Brett said, had a therapeutic effect of coolth. I guess it's that coolth feeling. So that was my story. So that's why I brought a plant. Also, in terms of dynamic hormones, interestingly, at one of our volunteer sessions, because I had a lot of health problems and autoimmune issues, my perimenopause started just recently at 39 years old. And I was complaining at one of our volunteer sessions of heat flushes because I get so many heat flushes. And one of our older volunteers said to me, I will bring something for you next session. And she brought me a chaste tree supplement. So Vitex, I guess the other name for it is. And interestingly, it actually really helped with my heat flushes. Started taking it. I'm still taking it now. And it is a plant. It's a tree that has helped with my dynamic hormones. So that's it from me.
Thank you so much, Manu. That's wonderful. Melissa or Bhavya, who would like to go next?
I'm happy to go.
Thanks, Bhavya.
Before I start, that was really interesting to listen to everybody's stories as well. And it's amazing how when you're listening to other people and like, especially I think I have this resonance with women and non-binary people that it just like kind of feels like you think about your own experiences in relation to that. So there was a lot of other memories that got invoked while I was listening to everyone. And it's for that reason really fascinating. But the one specific, because I was thinking about it since yesterday, and because I thought the session was yesterday, which was like my part, like I forgot to check the Liviana thing because it's a Tuesday on top. So I was like at 10 o'clock, I was into the Zoom with like a basket of fruits because I just didn't like thought in the morning that I had to think about something. And that's literally how I get through summers. It's just like eating really fresh like lemon and cucumber. I just shift like my diet just completely shifts because that's what I was brought on. Like my grandmother would just feed us fruits and very calming. So I like what you're eating during the day, what you're eating at night. So no cucumber or no yogurt at night. So it's a very everyday sort of thing. So that was my yesterday, and then I had the day to think about what I actually could bring, which connects me more also to place and memory. And I have this photograph from when I used to actively do farming with the women's collective. And I remember it's also about, how like bodies are not just like we're not all women, but also how there are class and upbringing issues. So all of these women in my collective are about, I mean, there's a whole range. There are women in their 30s and also but 80s. So it's a huge range of age groups. And because they're all farmers, they've all done this all their life. They're obviously more active and they can continue doing the work longer than I can. And I was just like learning. So I would do certain things, not do certain things. And I would get tired fast because I grew up in the city. I knew nothing about laboring in that capacity. So often like I would just get tired and like sit in the middle of the field, and it would be scorching heat like Rayagada, Odisha, where uh, we we work is like it's a coastal, very hot, dry similar to Sydney in some senses kind of place. And so I would just like sit down and just put a cloth above my face because like would be exhausted and drained. And then one day, and these women would just like often laugh, but one day like I had really extreme, I think, reaction. Uh, and sorry, by the way, like laughing is just usual way in which we connect. So it was not offensive, but it was just like, oh, you such a city spoiled, girl, you just like get tired, to go rest kind of thing. So I was just sitting and then kind of like I was like, oh, this is so much so hot. So they literally like in 10-15 minutes they built this shed for me and they were like, go nap in there. And I'll show you the photograph of that. Everybody else around me is working and I was just made to sit and I was not like I was not um, allowed to do anything else. They literally packed me inside that shed that they built, and then they took a photograph of me, and then they tell the story to everyone, saying how fragile I am, which is rude. But so I don't know if I can show you here, but yeah, that's the picture.
That's amazing. I think I have seen this before, but
Fantastic.
what an incredible story.
Maybe.
Oh, the French.
Yeah, so they just built
You-
this thing with lots of hay straw and like trees just had fallen on the field. They just brought everything together and like two of them, and they just put it together, tied some things on top, and then they were like, go nap inside or sit here. This is what we do when we get tired or it's too hot. So I just chilled there. So yeah, that was what I was reminded of.
What was it like inside? Do you remember
It
the
was so
feeling?
cool.
Yeah.
It was so pleasant. Like it was just a complete opposite of what it was outside. And then I think some of them also started taking turns to sit there because it was really, really a hot day, about 50 degrees that day. So it became a kind of a shelter for a lot of people who were taking turns to work and rest, which is also usually how we do farm work. No, you can't keep going. Um, but it was a complete contrast. Like, I don't know how that happened. And I was so surprised that you can just build structures, like, in the middle of nowhere, having just whatever you have around you, and you're protected. So yeah, that was the story that I kind of had on hand.
Fantastic, Fabia. As a yoga practitioner for years, I do Iyengar yoga, and during menstruation, Iyengar's daughter Gita developed the kind of women's health practice that always ensured that women had to sit out when they were menstruating and sit to the side, which I had various reactions to as a young yoga practitioner, going, oh damn it, I don't really. And people would lie in classes and pretend they didn't have the menstruation and so on. But when perimenopause hits and menopause, when your menstruation is more intermittent and then goes, you aren't given the same kind of and you need to just go on with the practice, in spite of changes going in your body. So it's an interesting thing. But I think that goes to that sense of you being told very firmly that you need to rest and take care of your body with this stress. Interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry to jump in there. Melissa, thank you, Fabia. Melissa.
Thank you. So I brought a window. Well, I just drew it while we were beginning the workshop. And each panel has different things that we've been finding out. So the different shutters, how they only by regulation, the top panel opens, how I like putting the crystal prisms so they project rainbows in my house, the entry of the elements of wind and the sun, and how you dress them up, either with the rollers or with the curtains, and a lot of conversations happening with fly nets and the views that you have and that relationship with the indoor and outdoor. And how you can dry the clothes or have decorations. Yeah, so the windows first came up as a curiosity in my work when I was doing field work in a psychiatric hospital, and each of the rooms needed to have outdoor view, and the common areas also had a few windows, and there were the favorite spots for people to just sit and spend many hours. That is what you often do when you are in those hospital admissions. And then when I was then doing field work in residential aged care in times of COVID, windows appeared again. And then they had this similar but completely different to the hospital relationship with connecting people with the outdoors. And I remember one lady telling me, that's my favorite spot, again, a window, because it reminds me that I am alive. Because she could see people, and she said, often here you just lose touch with reality, and then seeing someone pushing a pram or someone walking the dog or playing in the oval is like, oh yeah, no, I'm still alive. But also the family visits in the window. So there was this in and out relationship in when you've just find yourself living in a care institution. And then the windows are starting to come up again in people's homes, but now with the question of climate. And so they talk a lot about how they use it on a hot day to dry the clothes in, or if it's too much of a glare, then they would shut the blinders even before the sun starts to get very hot. Or how they think, oh, if we can have a battery there, that means we could build a cabinet unit. And so it's part of how they imagine the future as well. And in my case, since I've been seeing windows come up from those different things, well, that changes my relationship with windows at home. And I use them to protect myself in privacy with others, and to have sometimes friendly interactions by eye gaze with the barrier of the garden. So I intentionally put my garden next to the window for privacy, but also that I can have those garden relations. To gossip, I use it a lot, just to see through the window what's the screams happening out, what's going on. So there's something about this relationship between the inside and the outside, with the weather, but also with that social connection, that I'm liking windows as something that allows me to think. But also conceptually, in the residential aged care, because they could not go out, they would have lots of new tablets, and the picture frame in the wall, and the map in the corridor. And I am thinking, in a way, they were windows into their past, windows into connecting with the outdoors. So I'm trying to see windows as that concept that can travel as well.
Thank you. That's amazing. 3 incredible detailed stories. What gems.
Yeah.
I really,
yeah.
you go.
I was just going to say, yeah, would you like to have a short discussion? Yeah, anything that you heard, about each other's projects, or objects. Sorry, Abby's nodding her head. Did you want to say something, Abby?
Yeah,
and then
I
Kat
just
can...
I just wanted to just say thank you. They're such wonderful stories, and there are so many connections. And I'm thinking, if we ever did this online again, it would be great to sort of be visualizing this as we go, because the connections are so rich between the story. You know how you develop that relational sort of fabric as you talk. And I just wanted to reflect back on
I think we'll still have an
Manu's...
opportunity to do that, Abby, and on the
Yeah.
in the collage exercise, we might still because
We
we're
can
so there's
upload.
smaller numbers. I think we can potentially do some of that
That's a good,
mapping of connections
with these stories.
with these stories.
Yeah. I just
sorry, you
wanted
were going to
to reflect back on Manu's story and that beautiful poetic language and the image of the fire roaring down the Gross Valley and this very moving moment, that description of the despair and the feeling of the fire as they're fighting the fire and the bodily, like what is that moment of relief? You see something, the green, but you're also feeling it. It's developing this therapeutic. I mean, that is, it was just beautifully, I think, presented. And for the first time, I think, because people have written about green therapy, like even connecting to Melissa, looking out of a window and seeing green is good for you. But there was something next level about the way that therapy operated in that world that I just think is particularly evocative and requires more thinking through. It's just very, very powerful story. I just wanted to thank you for that. The connections are just all three stories are incredible. Bhavya, I have heard that story before, but I never quite got it in the same way as I did as you described it here, from the sense of the experience of the heat. There's something about the descriptive nature, like you said something early on about as part of a sort of practice of making connections from other stories. And that is, I think, what I'm taking away from this, because the building of this structure, which I have heard about it before, but makes me think, wow, there's a pattern there. Like I'm thinking that we could develop a pattern around this sort of assembly. There's something about the spontaneity of that, taking what's to hand to construct protection is just such a powerful idea. And I just want to say that. And Melissa, of course, I'm really connected with you around windows. I am very interested to keep talking to you about that, and the going from those plural, diverse ways that windows work in our world to when the climatic extremes mean that lives are being orchestrated in a sense by windows. I mean, certainly in the Living with Urban Heat project that Bhavya and I are working on, Bhavya has actually collected a lot of quotes from people speaking about windows and doors and the ways in which these devices operate to make it possible to live well with the climate, or indeed foreclose upon that possibility, is an incredible expression of a kind of socio-technical living. So I just wanted to share those reflections and thank everyone for their stories.
I have a couple of things to say. One is that the windows story, Melissa, I'm going to go backwards. Because the engineer and everybody who works in the robotics lab, where I'm the social engagement deputy director, so I am very interested in getting people in there. The thing with this resource or facility is that it has no windows, and I have brought the weather into that space with the soundtracks and the color show, so installed a whole kind of light grid colored light thing in the ceiling so that we could activate the space and stop it looking like some kind of death trap for the end of life in a computer sort of center, because that's what it feels like, because we all know what's behind the walls, which you can see in the image behind me. And people called my beautiful silk robot the curtain and made awful jokes about it being a bathroom curtain, or what is the curtain going to do today? Which I kind of like, because it was like a reference to the window thing and the sound effect of weather. But the way you told that story of 3 different ways that windows have sort of emerged in different projects and workplaces that you've been involved in, that was so great. So Abby's lucky that she gets to hear more of that. I would like to hear more of those stories too. So the windows are so powerful, and at all sorts of different stages of life, and with aged care, as you've been involved with, like windows become super powerful because they're something that help you remove yourself from the space that you're in if your mobility has become limited, as you no doubt know, as I discovered with my grandmother-in-law and relocating her during the pandemic, which was a real exercise, as no doubt you would all be aware that could be in a health setting with old people at risk. So the associations with your story, Manu, of those fires, and because I have my brother and his partner and their two sons and their families are all up in the mountains, or at that time were in the mountains, and we were all there for Christmas in December during the fire season. And I stayed with my nephew and his partner and kids one night at Christmas time in Lura, and they were living in a rental place that was a really great house. That was just overnight we all woke up because the smoke came into the house. So we're, it's high up a hill, we're nowhere near the fire. And we all woke up coughing because of the terrible smoke that was coming into the house we were sleeping in, which was a fairly scary thing. And because I've always gone up to the mountains because of family, and my godmother was up there, as since childhood, I'd never smelt smoke at night, or been woken up by smoke. So anyone who's been to the mountains, and I think that's probably many of us in the room since the fires, have seen the great regeneration that's happened from those scenes where there was just nothing but black tree trunks, particularly around Bell's Line of Road, and then the pink flannel flower, amazement that happened on Narrowneck. And now we just drove through Bell's Line of Road a couple of weeks ago to see what was happening, and it was as though it had never happened. The recovery has been, I mean, you can see, old tree stumps, but the green has come back. And of course, now we're going into God knows what some of this is going to be. So it just makes me think about how seeing the green is such a relief in the way that you spoke about it with the firefighters, which must have been I can just almost feel it on, as if I'm a firefighter. It's a really enormous resource that Farm at Ford are doing with kind of keeping those spaces alive. And I imagine that the community aspect of it would have been super powerful, because although we weren't living up there then, we did during the pandemic. And so I heard lots of stories from neighbours and people we met when we moved, all about what that time was like and how terrifying it was, but how it bonded people and the community in a really particular way that wasn't aware of until I heard the story. So you've obviously been part of that whole moment, which is an ongoing moment, because if we have another drought, then we're going to be right back there again. I mean, do you think that people recorded the stories in a way around, did you record them at Farm at Ford around what people said around the fire and the recovery? Has any of that been part of the Farm at Ford program, or it's just we're focusing really largely on food, not the narratives around it?
Well, the thing with running a civic fresh food initiative is that it's social work, and you focus on doing the work, the social work. You don't have the time to document it. But yes, there have been instances of when we present, when different parts of our team present, we do tell these stories quite often. It's interesting though also what Abby was saying, because it is, at the end of the day, I think definitely what Brett, the firefighter, was talking about was the green, but I feel like also there is something to do with a social ecology that allowed for this kind of co-regulation to happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's more than just like Abby was saying, it's more than just the seeing of the green, it's also the providing a space or the co-creating a space to be able to co-regulate, I guess.
I would really recommend that you apply for one of the City of the Arts grants in next year, because you could record those stories as an oral history project, turn it into some kind of creative output. Because I know that grant system, because I'm one of the people that helps assess them. Like, they're great stories that you've got there. And I think that there's a lot of awareness, as you would be aware of the planetary group up there at the moment.
They're useless, I'm sorry to say, very clearly. The Planetary Health Initiative.
Yeah, what a joke. Anyway, I tried and I went and I learned nothing.
Just a reminder, it's being recorded. I'm sorry, but
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't
we
tell
might-
people, or was that on our first slide and we rushed through it?
That's
I'm
all right.
sorry.
That's
We're
fine.
not
I'm
recording
happy.
it
I'm
with
happy for
Iana.
everybody
Yeah,
to know what I
okay.
think.
That's okay. That's okay. Why don't we, Kat, we're going to have an opportunity on a whiteboard for you to share those objects that you talk to and stories. Kat's going to introduce the next exercise now, the second exercise, and then with a break built into it, so you can go on a bit of a treasure hunt around your place. I need a coffee and a bathroom break, but Kat, would you like to go? If we go to the next slide, Kat can talk us through the introduction. Yeah, that's right, to the treasure hunt.
Yes. So
and more sharing.
Yes. Sorry, I got really mesmerized by your stories there. So the treasure hunt. So what we're going to do now is take a bit of a sort of get out of our chairs. Some of the images you saw in the first slide with the Heather's hat, which were disco pants, because Heather has done a lot of stuff with hair hydrometry and run workshops up in Southeast Asia just this year since our workshop, Abby and Ali. So expanding the sort of network of social engagement workshops that measures humidity through how our hair reacts, which is a sort of fun instrument with a mixed history of eugenics, but also really dynamic, powerful citizen science stuff. So Heather is determined to recover the hair hydrometer as a measurement device. And the story pocket about swimming pools and workplaces, and the neck feather t-shirt, the baby t-shirt. So the treasure hunt, sort of trying to shift that activity online, is for you to go and wherever you are, and you can do this activity anywhere, obviously, is to move around the space you're in and find colors and textures and everyday items or clothing, because we all love a bit of fashion in there and modifying it, that bring to mind an aspect of dynamic hormones, peri-/menopause, which is my new term for it, that you're interested in. So anything around what adolescence was like, how you experienced dynamic hormones then, because I remember my adolescence and I don't think my mother would ever forget it. And then what you think might be happening around early onset perimenopause, or what you imagine menopause will be like, because we all carry these great stories inside us of like, oh my God, the gateway to death. People say the menopause, and whenever people say that to me, I always think, yeah, like the Black Plague, you will die if you get menopause, like it's contagious and it's deadly. Literally, I've heard people say hilarious things in that kind of framing. So anything related to ideas, fears, and fantasies about dynamic hormones is welcome. And even if you just grab it off the shelf or out of your wardrobe or from out on the street, if you go and get some fresh air, it's just like, what story can I tell with this object around what my fears and fantasies or ideas are about peri-/menopause? And then we're going to make a giant collage out of anything you find.
Can I just, interject, Kat? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm just aware Tom, it's past 1 a.m. where he is. Tom, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for hanging in there. I think we move off this presentation now because Kat's done the introduction and you've seen the instruction. And Tom, if you share the whiteboard, then we'll just keep it on the whiteboard and you can go to bed.
Yeah, we can try that. Yeah, I've been really enjoying listening in.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, great.
Even
Okay.
oh, that's good to hear.
So let me
Thank you so
see.
much.
Yeah,
I will
thanks
try
so
sharing
much
it,
for
and I
hanging
will
in there.
try. So if there's any issues, Abby, just send me a quick email, and I'll keep an eye on it. Just
Oh, okay. Well, look, we might just go on to it and
Yeah.
leave it there. I won't try and swap back to the slide because basically we've just got, we can explain the instruction to people and that's it. Yeah. So
Great, we've got a whiteboard.
Does this work?
Okay. Yes, it's there. Yes.
oh, I can't see it at all. Haha. Oh, wait a sec. Yes, I can. Up the top. What?
Okay.
Ah, yes.
Can you all see it, Manu, Melissa?
Yeah, we've got a whiteboard.
Good.
And
Yes. Good.
draw.
Oh, it's all there. Thank
So
you.
now
Yeah.
So
the test will be when I leave, right? Abby.
Oh God. Okay, so I might need to email you if it dies when you leave.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Could you
I
just
can,
leave
I
it
can just
on
hang
and
out.
then
I can
well, you
also just
don't
hang
have to
out
be
till
there.
2 anyway. It's no big deal.
that's incredible.
You may as
But
well. You've been here this long.
Yeah. I'll just leave it running. It's okay. Yeah.
feel free to
Okay.
share an object, Tom,
Yes.
from your
Yeah,
environment.
if you want to get into this, please do.
We might meet back in 10 minutes, everyone. Treasure hunt, short
Yeah.
break.
So we've
and,
put, sorry, just
go
to
forth.
explain, we've put some things on the board there that we've done. So we did this activity ourselves just before. And so just to, put those things there. But all right, we'll see each other in 10.
You just
So
drag
at
and drop pictures onto here.
30,
Then you don't-
11:30. Yeah, are people
Yeah.
okay with using this tool? So it literally means just dragging something. You can drag stuff onto it. You don't like Miro need to go to a separate real board. This is the live board. Yeah.
drag and drop.
Excellent. All right. I'm going to go grab a coffee.
How we are putting things on the board because I have stuff on the phone.
Hi. Can you get it off share it to yourself in a text message or something, and then just slide the image? Have you got messages on your phone, Bavia? Or sorry, on your
I mean,
laptop? Yeah.
I can
You could
email it to
email them
myself.
to yourself. Yeah, that's
sounds
right. And then just slide it on.
I
onto
have
the
a
board.
faster way of doing it, Bavia.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You just airdrop the photos to your computer.
But
And
that
then
would be, I don't have Mac, so yeah, I think.
Oh, okay. No worry. Okay.
Thank you.
I always message screenshots to myself.
That's a good idea. It's
Yeah,
good
and
to
then
know.
I have messages on my laptop, and then I just slide them across.
Open
But
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
emailing is fine.
Yeah.
Great. I made another page, Abby, because when it comes to the collage, I was amazed that I could do it. But can you see my second page of the whiteboard?
No, I can't see the second page.
Can't you? Oh, okay. There's page 1 and page 2. I can see you on it, Abby. So AL. No?
Oh, yeah.
Abby's
At
on
the
mute.
bottom corner.
Sorry,
yes,
have
I
you
can
put
see
anything on it yet?
No, nothing's on it. It's blank.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. I can see it.
But I thought we'd need that as a canvas. Oh, Melissa's outside.
Oh yeah, I don't know why I cannot see you.
Okay.
Because I'm on my phone.
We could do that, or we could just work with move these images around
Okay.
to make the collage.
All right. Okay.
I mean, we're kind of making it now.
I love the window. Is this a window down here from, who's that?
Yes, that's before I left the house.
Melissa? That's great.
Yes, that's my window. It has a disco ball, reminds me of my teenage, and it has a mobile that's made by my mom, inspired by Alexander Calder. And she made it with wire from clothes hangers, and she melted CDs and that's the resin.
Oh,
And
love
she's
that.
It's a big recycler or reuse or repair or all those things. And so it reminds me of Mom, but at the background, because I live in a refurbished area that used to be brick kiln. You can see the kiln, so I made sure to include it because of the fire conversations going on.
Bhavya, did you resolve your access or your ability to put your image?
Yeah, I'm just
Oh,
getting
good.
emails
Yeah.
back, so I'll put it
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
I can see your cursor on the board, Bhavya, which is good. Is that Kat adding images down the bottom corner?
That is me.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
I just went and took some more images because, you know, there's never such a thing. There's no such thing as too many images.
That's
Have you
right.
got scissors? Go and get some scissors.
Oh, I have. I've got them. So I opened up my Oya box to show you the Oyas that are. I'll take a photo just for you.
Thank you.
I meant to do that before. Sorry.
We'll give Melissa. Are you okay to start talking, Melissa, while you're on the move?
Oh yes, my
Good.
my voice can be just affected by my bad physical condition, but the photo that I added is from my window, the living room. You can see the sofa and a tip of the hammock, and those are my two different weather feeling
Oh,
furniture.
wow.
And then there is the disco ball, thinking about teenage years, but also because at 2 p.m. the light comes in and it lights projects
Yeah.
into the walls. And the mobile that my mom did below. So I thought about those moving balls as the jumping hormones. And then the kiln at the back as the reminder of the fire that transforms things. And that's what I thought about taking that photo.
It's also a really good example of the window as a sort of frame, isn't it? You know how we were talking about some of the home visits and the paintings were kind of windows as well.
Yes, and it has the heater on top. And before field work, I didn't know this thing about heat curtain. And Robbie, a colleague participant, explained that it's this hot air curtain. So
Yeah.
that's a new learning.
That's a nice picture. I like that.
The courtesy of this workshop. That's it from me. I reached the train, so I'm pulling myself from mute.
Did you mention disco ball, Melissa?
Mm.
Is that in the
Yes.
photo of the window?
Yes, that's at the top of the mobile, the ball.
Yeah.
And the mobile has the, also I just typed in the crystal prism that also projects some rainbows. So it's all
Yeah, I love
happening
the
in front
way
of that window.
that's a really good photo because if you zoom right in, Ali, it's like you're in the room. It like can be the whole image and you can see the house over the road and the mobile. And is that the hammock there? Yeah, in the center, the pole of the hammock and the disco ball and the kind of shapes that are on the screen as well. And it looks like the sky's got yellow stripes.
Would someone like to speak to the images that they've added here?
Sure, I'm happy to start if you like.
Anu?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So I'm just gonna start. Can you see it when I highlight it? Like, can you see my name on it?
That's neat. Yes.
Great. Okay, so this is actually around a texture that we that I noticed when we were because we run youth programs, and part of the youth program is cooking. So we were cutting up a cabbage, and this beautiful pattern showed up on the just the little hollow, the middle that you take out of the cabbage. So I picked it up, and it was quite an interesting thing because one of the young people in our program looked at me and was, because I was so excited about this pattern. And one of the young people in my program said, "You're funny. You're not like other old people." And I was quite interested in what they were trying to say, and they were saying, "I don't know, I don't see other older people like you getting excited about this kind of thing, you know." And I thought about this idea of awe, you know, feeling awe, AWE. And I've been since doing a bit of research around awe and the neural pathways that are used in sensing awe, and how they are very, very, very much related to the neural pathways that you use when you feel compassion or empathy. And so it's quite an interesting thing where, because I noticed that the teenagers that we work with get really excited about seeing patterns and doing this. And it's almost something that we forget to do, is this presence. I heard actually Arturo Escobar say something interesting. He was talking about the fact that we have engineered absence in everything we do these days. And that cultivating awe is like it brings the presence back, and it cultivates the feeling of presence. So it's kind of that's what I was thinking in terms of the hormonal dynamics that I was feeling in sort of our early onset perimenopause, together with the hormonal craziness that the teenagers around me in the youth program are feeling together.
What a combo.
Yes, it's interesting because all of a sudden something happens that's quite interesting. An exchange happens that is very dynamic exchange. And that kind of is related with these pom-poms. So the hand holding the pom-poms, because what we find is that what I found was that the young people coming through the doors had just as dysregulated nervous systems as I do in my perimenopausal stages. And that's something that really helped us was craft of any kind with our hands. And making pompons was a really approachable thing to do because it was simple. So it built confidence. And it also allowed both of us to share our feelings or hormonal dynamics through making these artifacts, these little fluffy artifacts that have such a beautiful texture. And what I found was that the young people were putting them in their pockets and using them as soothing artifacts
I love that.
in the classroom, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
So another thing that I put was this frost. So because interestingly, I love looking at photos when it's hot outside. I love kind of going back in time and looking at photos of like frost on vegetables that I take photos of in the middle of winter, and it almost provides a feeling of coolth. Another one is this one, which is quite interesting. You can see there's a young person right on the ground, and they do this in the beginning of our program every week. They lie themselves flat on the ground to co-regulate. And above them, there is someone making a crown out of leaves. So one of the young people is making a crown out of leaves on the other young person's head. I have full permission to publish for these photos, by the way, so we don't have to worry about that. So yeah, so as a practice of kind of like a vernacular way of clothing ourselves for cool. It's like this thing. It was a hot day, and we went, instead of going into the tunnel where it was too hot, we went into the bush regen area, and it was a cool bushy spot. Yeah.
It's a little bit connected to Bavia's story in some ways, like getting down close to the ground and being, I love this description, Manu, of co-regulation. Like it's really making me think. It's a beautiful thing to consider, and it's kind of cybernetic, in terms of the sense of balance and regulation there. There's something very powerful about it. I love it. Yeah. I'd love to get Barbie's picture and put it next to this.
Yeah, so the two other ones, this one, which is a latch hook rug that we're making, that is a landscape. It's actually a map of the bushland. And it's just those hands-on embodied activities, craft activities that are communal activities. So the one next to it is actually mending exclusion nets. So when you grow vegetables, you do have to protect them from wildlife. And we have nets to do this white net. And often
has something just happened?
Yes,
Yeah, I
Manu.
think it freeze.
Oh, Manu's back. That's good.
Okay.
You back,
Are
Manu?
you there, Manu?
She's just frozen a little.
She lives in a tiny house in the Blue Mountains, and sometimes the internet's unstable, but I say that at UTS where it's often unstable as well. So
what Manu is saying, hopefully she'll get back.
She might come back in. Maybe she'll come back in. Yeah.
Co-regulating
Bavia, would Bavia like to have a chance to have a chat?
Well, Manu's back
right.
now, so she can finish her story. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened.
That's all right.
Where did I
You were
fall
talking
off
about
a
the
bit?
nets. You were talking about the nets, and this work that you're doing here.
Yeah, so it's just really just another means of co-regulation. So making kind of fabric fiber, using fabric and fiber to mend, repair, but also mend our hormones, our teenage hormones.
I love that.
Our...
I love it. And these are care practices, Manu, that you're able to talk about in the context of your thesis as well.
Yes, yeah.
I love that. And then do you think that this
co-regulating thing? Manu, what you're saying completely correlates with the workshop activities about making costumes, and I put the pom-poms beside a badge which we make with the care providers at the hospital, where they talk about hormone stuff while they're making badges of honor, we call them. So that is a pink, artificial flower, bunch of petals with a bunch of pins stuck in it. I think it's called a rose with thorns. But people can tell such great stories when they're using their hands at the same time. It just kind of opens up a layer of nuance. So totally with you on the co-regulation through using your hands. It's beautiful. Well done.
I do. My image of the garden, the green wall, of seeing green. I actually posted before the workshop began, and it's an example of co-regulation.
where is it? Sorry, are you selecting
sitting just above the pom-poms and the flower. It's just here. Can you see that?
Yes, got it. Yeah.
And
I know
it's
that's where there was.
It's an example of co-regulation, I think, across distance. So I sent this image to my mother, who lives in Newcastle, and she has never been to my house anymore because we moved in the middle of COVID. So she has moderate dementia, and she's an avid gardener. So when I go to see her, we talk about her garden, and she's often gardening when we talk over the phone. And we have this really circular conversation about, oh, how your beautiful window garden out. So this is the view out of my kitchen window, and this is what I look at, and this is what I sent to her. So we have this. We keep coming back. She'll say it in a conversation. So she'll say 6 times, "Oh, you have a beautiful garden, yeah, outside your window," and we share
Another
this. So we're sort of.
Yeah,
Sorry, another window.
exactly.
Yeah. And I just
Yeah.
thought what really resonated when Melissa was talking, I'd already put this image up, and I actually took this image for a student project about, watering our watering our green spaces and plants. And then I sent it to my mum, and yeah, she just loves this image. And we really kind of connect across, distance through this.
But Ali, there's my connection with this image of yours is that beautiful little person who is sleeping in one of the pots.
Oh, yes, that's right.
little-
Yeah. The possum, that's right. So I had a visiting possum who slept in the bottom pot for a couple of months.
Tiny.
It was a little ringtail. Yeah, beautiful. And we've had other visitors to these pots. And so, yeah, that was a couple of years ago. They've actually got a lot denser since then. But anyway, it's just, I just thought it was a good example of kind of co-regulation through one's hands and the practice of gardening, but mediated through this image over distance. And how we have a relationship, because I posted that and shared it with it because it's my coolth image too of seeing green. I would love to be able to talk to my mother about the experience of menopause and things, some more now, and seeking coolth through gardening, but it's something that she probably wouldn't be able to recall. But
yeah, that's what happened to me with my mum too. She said, I can't remember that. Can I just make a little connection to that beautiful sense of windows and gardens? My mother-in-law made me a garden for my office window because she was affronted by the colorbond fence. And so it was very, very, so it was very moving. So she went and got little pots like this and did this whole arrangement, and it grew these plants. I don't know quite what they're called, but they're sort of like ballerina tutus, perfectly meshed together, pink flowers and little red centers, very firm on these long strings. It's quite a bizarre garden of these really intricate plants I've never seen before. And it sort of is just I use it a lot now. The other thing is that we replaced the option of eaves on some of our new, as in nearly 12 years old renovation at the back, a box. We didn't get the eaves because they were all very ugly, though we knew we were meant to get eaves, and we replaced it with green screens. So we've got potted bamboos growing on all the windows, and we have this lovely green light that it makes. Yeah, just thought of that connection.
Can I talk about some images I've put down the bottom that I took during that 10-minute break? So I ordered some Oyas on the weekend because I started getting worried for, as Manu would know, it's getting hot up in the mountains, weirdly. So I thought I've got to save the plants. So I bought some Oyas to sort of try them out and see if they work, so I can then water the garden and just let the Oyas do the work. So I've unboxed one of the Oyas, and I'll let Abby and Ali know if Oyas actually work in the Blue Mountains garden. But to celebrate meeting a couple of deadlines recently, I bought some peonies, which I've never bought in my life, and they're horrendously expensive flowers. And I never knew why people always said, oh, my favorite flower is peony. And I'm like, they just look like blousy roses to me. Why do people love peonies? Anyway, I have discovered that peonies change color. I don't know if any of you know about peonies, but when I bought those flowers in the bottom right corner, they were just kind of that lolly pink color. But as they slowly open, I've only had them a couple of days, they've changed color into orange and yellow. And so they're kind of like kaleidoscope flowers. So now I know why they cost $40 a bunch. And I'm going to photograph them a lot so I can do something with peonies, because they're very dynamic in color. So I find that really interesting that, fancy flowers actually do things that other things don't do. So this is unboxing an Oya to the left of the beautiful changing peonies. And
Sorry, what's an Oya?
sorry?
Oh, it's
What is an
a
Oya?
ceramic.
An Oya
Go
is a
ahead.
ceramic water pot that has a lid. I haven't found the lids for them yet. Hopefully they sent the lids. And you pour water into them and it slowly releases the water through the ceramic. So it is a way of containing water use and slowly waters the roots. So you don't waste water on the top of the plant where it dries off quickly. It goes straight down into the roots. They're quite small Oyas. I thought they'd be a bit bigger, but it's an experiment. I'm happy to see them. One of my PhD students is making Oyas at the moment because her project is all around recycling coal ash from up in the Hunter region where there's a lot of shortly we hope to be disused coal energy burners that exude the massive amounts of coal ash as a waste product from burning coal to power electricity stations. You end up with this really toxic substance, which is now blowing around all over the Central Coast and the Hunter region north of Sydney. So she's making Oyas out of coal ash. I don't know how that's going to go, but they're amazing.
It's funny, I have seen them spelt OLLA. So because they're actually originally, I think, were used by indigenous people in Africa, like I think West Africa, as a clay pot irrigation system in dry zones. Because slowly the terracotta is porous, there's only one firing. So you make the clay pot and you only fire it once instead of twice so that it's still porous and the water trickles out slowly. Yeah.
That's so nice. Yeah.
Chantel, who's making some, she may already know that. But yeah, Oyas are they're supposed to be really great in environments and hot summers for getting water to the roots.
Yeah. So during the Black Summer bushfires after the drought, Farm It Forward made about 400 Oyas because we were under water restrictions, stage 2 water restrictions, although we had exemptions because we were growing food. So, but we still wanted to save on water. So we made them out of just, those terracotta pots you buy from, so those are only one firing. So they're porous and you can just silicone a bathroom tile at the bottom to block the hole at the bottom. And we just put op-shop plates to cover them. And we had about 400 being dispersed all over our market gardens.
Oh,
amazing. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a way of making time as well, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I'm just noticing the time and Bhavya hasn't shared, so maybe we should move to Bhavya's. Yeah.
So I kind of just thought of some things that I have endometriosis, so that's the hormonal connection that I have with the body that I was thinking about. And like I don't know if you can see the green water bag is what keeps me alive for those 4 days. There's also a picture of the tablets that I take that I can't download for some reason, but that's the one that I could instantly think of. But also my stuffies that usually are very cute and very hands-on with regulation. You can see the same bed and the picture. So it's Momo and Kissy Trunks. They're both very cuddly and very, very helpful when you're feeling anxiety or dysregulated or pain. So I often cling to them in those moments.
Yeah.
The picture from this one I found yesterday, and it's fascinating. It just reminded me of like period. Can you see the one on top? Oh, so when I move the screen, you can't.
Yeah.
This tree, yeah. Does anyone know what it's called? So it has flowers growing.
Yeah.
It has flowers, orange and yellow and bright red, growing on the branches, which was
Yeah.
a photo of that
We've
yesterday.
got one, and I can't remember the name of it. And it does these beautiful, almost Japanese branches. So it'll do
Yeah,
these branches that come right down and hang with this delicate little bit of
right.
flower. Yeah. I'm
So
sorry,
it's
I don't
very
know the
soothing
name.
because it's like green, but it's also very like colorful.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminded me of that. And the top photo here in the middle is ENS, my collective Ekanari Sangathan. Everybody's resting
Ah,
and taking a break. So I thought rather than putting my picture alone,
yeah.
I don't know how to expand this, but if you can see
Yeah,
the
we can
expanded
zoom
version?
in. Well, we
Yeah,
can
so they're
actually
all
zoom in to make it big. Yeah.
ah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they're all kind of resting and taking a break. It was drizzling a little bit, but it was also hot and
Yeah.
eating, I think. So I just put that one
Yeah.
there.
That's
And this is the
great.
spot of Parramatta River that I often go sit
Mhm.
and read when it's
Ah,
not
yes, I
super
love
hot.
that spot.
Yeah,
So I just put that one. So yeah,
that's
those were
cool.
some of
That's
my.
a sort of nice connection. Yeah, also to what Manu's story about the green, and yeah, I mean it's one of the thing that's been enriched through our conversation.
Yeah, I love the
Hey,
co-regulation story. That was great.
yeah, I feel like our conversation is being cut off midstream by the time. I just would love it if I mean, Alice and Kat and I are also presenting at the Cultural Studies Association of Australia conference called, what's it called again? It's like hot, what is it?
It's so
It's
hot
so
right
hot.
now.
It's so
So
hot
hot.
right now.
It's so hot
And
right now.
we're going to be in Melbourne, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately for her, but Kat's going to be in Kyoto, I believe. Is that right, Kat?
That is true. I'm
But
getting stolen.
yeah, but it would be lovely to, I don't know, I just sort of feel like it would be nice to collaborate on something or write up our
know.
stories or do something like that. So yeah, how about we I mean, I have to finish on time and I'm sure everyone needs a lunch and things, but how about if we write after we've had a chat, we can write and propose some way of us extending this, unless anyone has had particular thoughts through our conversations.
There are certainly lots of threads to to connect. And Melissa, in Melbourne, it'd be great for you to. I'd like to invite you to come to the paper that we present. I'd love to talk further about the window connection and
Yes,
and other things.
please.
But yeah, I know it's a big part of your Krish project, so we'll let you know when that presentation is. Hopefully, you can come to that, and we might be able to meet.
Yeah, well, that's what we
Yes.
were going to suggest. Maybe, I don't know if you're free on Thursday. It would be the 20, what date was it, Ali? The 28th of November, is that right? Or 27th?
I think it's the 27th. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're
27th
free on,
Thursday.
yeah, if you're free, maybe we could have dinner together with Ruth, or I don't know if you like that idea, but maybe I'll send a separate email about that. But that would be
I
really
like that
cool.
idea.
And
I'm putting it
yeah,
in my
Manu, I'm
calendar now.
excited to catch up with you on Friday. So much to talk about. It's so lovely to have this opportunity to have a different kind of engagement with you. And Barbia, of course, I feel the same way. But,
No,
I can
Manu,
hear.
we've got a cross wire somewhere, but Manu, I hope I run into you up in Katoomba because
Yes.
we're every second weekend at least and all summer. So we must catch up in person.
Absolutely. Yes.
And Tom, I don't know if you're still there. Is that you talking? Or maybe not. But if none of us have access to the whiteboard once the meeting finishes, but will you be able to keep it or give us access to it later? Or I don't know how we're going to do it, but manage somehow.
Yes, of course, of course.
Okay.
I'll figure out a way. I did contact
Thanks.
Jenny about this, but either way, there'll be a way to get it to you.
Yeah, so we won't lose once we leave this meeting. We'll somehow get back in touch with our collective board. But yeah, thank you, everyone. I don't know, Ali,
Thank you
Kat, if
so
you wanted
much.
to
It
say
was
anything
amazing.
more.
Thank
Yeah,
you. It was
so
lovely
great to
to
connect.
session.
It was really
Yeah.
really inspiring session. Thank you.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.